What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream today, man. Oh, man. What is going off with this football club? It's like one step forward, two steps back, another boring, laboured performance, another draw, drop points against Crystal Palace. Listen, what I want to make clear before we get into this video, I know I've put Arteta out in the title. I am not missing the fact that the owner is a huge part of the problem. Someone put there in the comments, yeah, Arteta is a problem, but we have a bigger issue than that, the owner. Definitely. And we will talk about that at different times. I'm not going to come on here and pretend this owner is the right owner. He is not. We need an owner with an ambitious mind that wants to win trophies. He actually said in an interview, I did not buy Arsenal to win the title, He didn't want to win the title here. He hasn't shown the ambition to want to win the title here. So we know he is not the right owner. But listen, that is a bigger picture. That's going to take time and people coming together to get that owner out of the football club. Maybe he's got to lose a lot of money to sell the football club. But let's get one thing straight. Mikel Arteta, in my opinion, in the most respectful manner I can express it, he is not, in my opinion, the right manager to take this football club forward. He is not getting the best out of the current players that are at the football club. People saying, don't be reactionary. I'm not making this video today because we drew with Crystal Palace. We drew with Crystal Palace. I don't think we've beat Crystal Palace in the last 3 or 4 games. It's nowhere near reactionary. How can any Arsenal fan think that this is reactionary? What I don't understand, how can any Arsenal fan right now sit 11th in the Premier League table and look at the way we're playing? Yeah, watch that performance last night, how boring it was. How many games this season have you watched Arsenal and thought, geez, this is a boring game, man. This feels like we're just not going anywhere. How many players in our attack are performing under this manager? Aubameyang having the worst season he's probably had in the last 5 or 6 years. He's having a nightmare season for Arsenal. Aubameyang. You don't become a bad player overnight. Why has that happened? Why has he gone so bad all of a sudden? Look at Nicolas Pepe, 72 million. We're getting nothing out of him. Maybe he's not the finished article. Maybe he's not the answer on that right wing. But you've got to be able to get more out of him, surely. But, to me, as a manager, you have to build a system that suits the players, right? That means if your plan is to play 4-4-2, but they suit 4-3-3, you have to adjust to them. Until you can get the players in to play how you want to play, you have to work around the players. How come every attacking player is struggling in this team? We've had a little purple patch from Lacazette with a few goals, but we saw yesterday, when the service ain't there, it's limited. Lacazette, in and out of the team. Aubameyang having the worst season, one of the worst seasons of his career. Pepe, non-existent, doing absolutely nothing. Willian has just gone down the drain. Now, don't get me wrong, Willian ain't no world beater, but he delivered numbers last year at Chelsea. He don't look like he can do anything for us. How are all these players underperforming? I see people in the comments. I'm going to go through some comments, don't worry. But listen, as I said the other day, we do have to be realistic about where we are as a football club. I don't expect Arsenal to win the title. Right? I don't expect us to win the title. I don't even really expect us to get in the top 4 at the moment. I think we're a little bit short of where we need to be. But you can't tell me we should be 11th in the Premier League. Aston Villa were going to, they were in a relegation battle last season. They've got a manager that came up through League 2 and League 1 in Dean Smith. No disrespect. Villa are 2 points above us with 3 games in hand. 3 games in hand. This club is just it's too easy to just get by. You know, you can put in a half decent performance and we start raving about you and we're 11th and people are saying I'm being reactionary. I'm not being reactionary. I would like to think I'm quite a level-headed football fan, you know. I'm not being reactionary. I've watched this all season. You know, Mikel Arteta has been in charge for over 1 year now. Over 1 year. And I don't see an improvement. Are we better than the day he walked through the door? Mikel Arteta, the day he walked into this job, are we better than when he took over? We have a better team on paper. You know, we added Gabriel, Thomas Partey, Willian. He signed Cedric Suarez and Pablo Mari. He signed Renarson. You know, I'm not saying these were all good signings. What I'm saying, he signed 6 players since he walked through the door. So listen, man, I don't completely blame Arteta because I don't think he was ready for the job. I don't think he was ready. I see a guy who's learning how to be a manager. How can Arsenal have time to have a guy in charge who's learning how to be a manager? How can we have that? We didn't have time for that, you know. The pressure is too high. The stakes are too high to have a manager there learning. Too many bad decisions that are being highlighted throughout the season. Willian, 3-year contract. Horrendous decision, right? Should have never been given a 3-year contract to a 32-year-old. It's not like he's an absolute world beater. Not like we're signing Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, we signed Willian on a 3-year contract. Unbelievable decision that was from him. You know, you look at other decisions. We sell Emi Martinez and bring in Renarson as his replacement as number 2. The guy is absolutely shocking. Shocking goalkeeper. Now they're talking about loaning him out, bringing in another goalkeeper. Why did this not happen in the summer? Another poor decision. The Mesut Ozil situation has been handled terribly wrong. If you didn't want him, they should have got him out the door. Having him on the training ground every day and being asked about him every time you don't, you know, create chances, he's only going to cause more problems for you as a manager. William Saliba. We waited a year for him to come in. They didn't see he was good enough, apparently, in pre-season. So why was he not loaned out at the start of the season? Why did you wait 6 months and not play him for 6 months? Wasting his time again. As you're saying here, Tom, Cedric Suarez, 3 or 4 year contract. He hardly plays. It's like they don't even want to play him. You know, why was he given a 4-year contract? 4-year deal for a 28-year-old released from Southampton. Why? Why was that deal given? He comes out in the press conference and says, Shkodran Mustafi, we're going to keep him till the end of the season. Why? He's not good enough. He's never been good enough. He's out of contract in 6 months. He rejected a new contract. He's got no right to be at the football club. He's not good enough anyway. Nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough. Cedric is Kia Jarabchin's deal. Well, there you go. We're working with a dodgy agent that hasn't even got immense contacts. You know, it's not like Mendes who brings in all these sick Portuguese players to Wolves. We're bringing in washed up players. Listen, man, I can't see. He says Arteta in. I can't see why these decisions are being made. And when people say reactionary, I'm sorry, it's not. It's not at all. The club is literally steering out of control right now. There's no direction. From the top, the owner doesn't say anything. He doesn't sign any players. We're 15 days into January. 15 days into the month of January. The window's open. Edu kept talking about the January transfer window and, you know, all these things that we want to do, these players we want to get out and bring in. So far, we've done one deal. We've loaned out Kolasinac. That's the only thing. That's the only deal we've done 15 days into the window. No one's left on a permanent deal. No one's been signed. We're not being heavily linked. We're just sitting around trying to do things behind the scenes. Rob Holding, new 4-year contract. That's the only thing. Ebby said at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if you get a 4-year deal. Jesus, bro. Darren says facts. Oh, man. Exactly. The tank, Kolasinac, he's out for 4 months. He'll be back here in the summer. He's got another year left on his deal. They're going to have to try and get rid of him. Where's all this business that we were supposed to be excited for? You know? And I will say this, you know what? I just recorded the Turkish Cheap Show. Look out for that with Laurie. And Turkish was a a guest on there this week. Big up Turkish every time. We were talking, off camera as well. We know the main focus is the ownership and the board. We know that. I'm not oblivious to that. I'm not coming on here saying Arteta and no, Kroenke. No, he has to go as well. We know that. That's 100%. That's going to take a longer period of time. That's going to take unity in the fan base. Something that we don't have a lot of in the Arsenal fan base, unfortunately, man, since the Arsene Wenger in, Wenger out situation. But Mikel Arteta, for me, is the main issue for me right now, because I still think that he should be doing more with this squad right now. He should be doing more. You can't tell me that we shouldn't be higher than 11th in the table. You can always look at Man City away, Liverpool away, Tottenham away. You can say, well, you know what? Maybe we didn't deserve to win them games. We shouldn't have won them games. Maybe they've got better teams than us, But when you're drawing with Palace, when you're losing to Burnley, you're drawing with Southampton, you're getting battered by Aston Villa, you're losing to Leicester with half their team missing. I'm sorry, but you have to question that. You have to question that. I don't understand. It baffles me. And you know what? It kind of, I don't know, how can I say it? It kind of like, I look at it and I think, I feel sorry for Arsenal fans that we've got into a situation where we're kind of just accepting what we're being given. A lot of people will sit there and say, oh, he needs time, or, he's not doing that bad, or a creative player will fix it all, or, make excuses. Why is the demand so low now? I'm not sitting here saying, I'm not sitting here saying we should win the title. I'm not saying that for 1 second. I'm not delusional. I know where we are as a team right now. We're not Liverpool. We're not Manchester City. We're not challenging for the league. There was enough there to go and challenge for a top 4 spot this season. Challenge. Whether we got it or not is a different story. How come Aubameyang all of a sudden looks like he can't hit a barn door under this manager? How come Pepe has not improved? We heard about, Arteta's been this great coach with all these wingers at Manchester City, what he did for Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling. Where's that coaching for Nicolas Pepe? How come you can't get more out of him? How come Willian just looks finished straight away? Looks like he's just down tools straight away. Looks like, yeah, that's it. I'm at Arsenal. I'm done. Naughty kids in a school classroom is what I always say, right? The mentality of the football club and the players is not strong enough. Sometimes you can have poor owners, but a good manager can squeeze the most out of what he's got on the pitch. And sometimes you can still achieve things with poor owners, in my opinion. That's my opinion. There's still a lot of players on that football pitch that you can work with and get something decent going, right? If you're a decent manager. But the mentality is soft. They're not buying into this manager, I'm telling you. As you say here, some good coaches don't make good managers. David Beckham said that Steve McLaren is one of the best coaches he's ever worked with in his career. Steve McLaren, poor manager. Poor manager, But he isn't a top manager, but he was a very good coach. There's a difference, Getting the most out of your talent is what a manager does. Exactly that. Come on, you guys, you work in jobs and you're probably managers and you do various jobs. Your role as a leader is to improve, get the most out of what you've got in front of you. That's the main part of being a manager. Who is improving under this manager? I saw Unai Emery improve players, give debuts to youngsters, get good football. Lacazette got player of the season under Unai Emery. Aubameyang got the golden boot under Unai Emery. And I don't even think Unai Emery was quite the right manager for Arsenal. More because tactically he got too worried about the opposition. The communication seems to be a problem. People were taking the mick out of him, and I think that's why it didn't work out, for Emery. But I don't think Emery was a terrible manager. I genuinely don't. He didn't get the players he wanted. He wanted Zaha. He wanted Fabinho. They gave him Torreira and Pepe. He didn't get the players that he wanted. You know, we are so bad going forward at the moment. You know, any team that puts, you know, 8-9 players behind the ball, we look like we can't open them up. Smith Rowe yesterday, he had a poor game and he tried, you know, he definitely tried, but it didn't happen, and it is going to happen. He's a young player. He's still figuring out, you know, where he wants to be in the team, and he will have games where it doesn't work for him. But where's the other option? You know, a lot of Arsenal fans turning their noses up at certain. I wouldn't take Isco. He's done. He's washed up. I wouldn't have mind Isco coming on yesterday for Smith Rowe. He might have just had that little pass, that little bit of magic that made something happen, you know. Curtis Emery wanted Maguire as well. Let me answer this question. And I always say this. I will answer criticism as long as it's not abusive. So listen, Will, thank you for your comment. He said, clickbaiting titles, bruv, trying to grow by dividing the fan base. No, I am not. No, I'm not, my friend. Let me tell you. I want the best for Arsenal Football Club, right? That's what a supporter should be. When you support, you want the best, right? You want the best for them. You've got to be realistic as well, of course, but you want the best. How can I support failure? And it's kind of being self-inflicted as well by the football club. That's delusional. You know, there has to be a balance. I have to understand where the club is, but I have to understand what we're capable of at the same time. This is a wild Premier League season. Teams are dropping points left, right, and centre. You get a little run together, you can get, you know, up there. You look at Manchester United. Their supporters were calling out Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and now they're top. They've got a run together, and this is where we're at. You can't sit here and say, because you're an Arsenal fan, you have to just support Arteta and just, you know, just go on like everything's fine. As I said before, you've seen that cartoon where he's sitting there and the house is all on fire and he's sitting there saying everything's fine. That's what's going off right now with Arteta. What happened to the ambition? What happened to the ambition of the football club and the fans? Don't drown in the mediocrity, fan base. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't drown in it. We can keep our standards high, man. What do they say in life? The standards you set are the standards you expect, right? Don't fall for the trap that this football club are setting for us. They'll start making failure look like success if you fall for their mindset. I'm not saying we should be winning the title. I'm not delusional. We are where we are. We're probably not even good enough at the moment for top four. Should we be challenging for top four? 100%. Come on. Surely. Niraj, thank you for the super chat. Said, Emery already launched the HLM boys. Arteta ain't the second coming of Pep. Stop this rot. We're lowering our ambition. See Turkish and Lee. That's it, bro. Listen, we have to have a stronger mindset, man. We have to. The fan base, they say the fans are the blood for any football club. We keep a football club flowing. If we lower our ambition and our standards, then that's where we'll become, you know? And I think fans are doing that. It's unfortunate. You probably don't even realise sometimes. Facts. Ill Mind of Callum, thank you for the super chat. Said, Eddie, Xhaka and Hector. Mikel Arteta's illegitimate sons. He loves them guys, man. You know, it's crazy. Big up Peter Mounsley with a super chat. Thank you very much, bro. He said, Curtis, hope you're well. I'm not an expert in footballing tactics, but how can we smash Chelsea? And it could have been more. Then we go and draw with Palace. Please explain. Thank you for your super chat, by the way, bro. And listen, number one, I think sometimes it's easier to beat a team that attacks you, you know, and Chelsea came to the Emirates to beat us. They came here to have a go at us, you know, and try and beat us. And sometimes it's easier to pick teams off when they do that. And, you know, when you see Palace, they didn't come here with the intent to beat us. They were waiting for an opportunity to spring on us. So sometimes, yeah, it is easier to do that. But when a team gets behind the ball and says, all right, break this down, you need to have answers then. Sometimes that team attacking you opens situations up for you because they leave themselves exposed by attacking. Palace got behind the ball and said, what have you got now then? How are you going to break this wall down? And we didn't have the answers, Peter. So that's the problem. You know, everyone talks about low block. we can't break down a low block at the moment, unfortunately. Nicola said, I'm so fed up with all the talk from Arsenal on their channels, clips from their training example and bigging up themselves constantly on. So, bruv, this is what they do. It's almost like brainwashing people, you know. You know, I did it the other day, you know. I actually retweeted a video of Nicolas Pepe in training. I think he twists up Joe Willock and bends it in the corner. I was like, yeah, man, come and do that in the games and you're good. But the reality is it's training. You don't even tackle each other properly in training. You know, they know how to manipulate people, Arsenal. They're very clever. Big up Don Draper. I hope you're well, bro. Everyone go and follow him on Twitter. Brilliant transfer account for Arsenal. He says, big up, big C. You are absolutely right. We lost the ambition. Within this club, we are not quite demanding. Nowhere near. Why are we not demanding? We grew up at the top with Man United. Arsenal, Man United, challenging for the title. Of course, there was a dip. We paid off, you know, the league. We paid off the stadium, apologies. And we knew there was going to be a faltering. But where we are now is inexcusable because the stadium's pretty much paid off. You know, there's some good players in that team. You look at Leno, he's playing well at the moment. Gabriel's back. You know, we've got Kieran Tierney, who's been really good. We've got, you know, Aubameyang, who should be on form, but obviously it's not happening. We're just not getting the best out of the players, and that's why I go first for the manager. You know, Bobby T said Arsenal top of the league for PR. 100%. We're a PR club right now. More shirts out this season than ever before. How many training kits have they brought out this season? The 12th man 86 says, bro, I'm 34 and in all my years, I've never been so disillusioned with the direction of Arsenal as I am now. I seriously worry about the future of this club. Why does Arteta keep backing the deadwood? Bro, and that's it. And that is it. What are this football club trying to achieve? What are they trying to achieve at this moment? Where are they trying to go? I don't get it. I don't see no direction of this football club. Apps Clickshot says, do you think we should have picked Ancelotti? I would have taken him over Arteta. I'm telling you, he's a big boss, man. I'm telling you. He's doing decent at Everton as well. Look how he fixed their midfield in one window, you know. You know, Alan from Napoli, I would have taken him. Decore, I would have taken him. You know, James Rodriguez could have been good for the creative spot. Ralph Hasenhüttl, he's a good manager as well. He's a good manager. Arteta should have been to Everton, Ancelotti to Arsenal. Arteta is an Everton legend. Well, close to that as a player. He ain't no Arsenal legend. So you didn't have the emotional thing that, listen, he's an Arsenal legend as a player. At least the fans will back him. He's literally an Everton legend in that sense. And as a manager, totally unconvinced by the guy, man. The direction of a football club needs to be set by the owner. I do agree with that. But sometimes, as I said, clubs with not great owners have still achieved things on the pitch because they've had decent players. They've had a manager that squeezes everything out of the players, gets the best out of them. I don't believe that these players are buying into this manager's philosophies. I almost look at it and I think he's almost overcoaching the players. You know, I see a very rigid team. We're very, we're very lethargic. We put a lot of crosses in. We're not good to watch. We're not good to watch. And I think in football, you have two things that you should produce at a top football club. One is results, first and foremost. Secondly is quality performances. If we were playing bad but winning, I would accept it. If we were playing good but not winning, I would say maybe you don't have the players, but you have the philosophy. We're not doing either. We're not winning and we're not looking free-flowing either. It's like the handbrake's on. He needs to let these players throw, man. Brother, you're right, man. Constricted, not free-flowing. All of you guys, listen. I don't expect every one of you in the comments to agree with me. That's what football is. It's opinion. Some of you will come in here today and you'll go, Arteta out, that's a bit reactionary. Some of you will come in here and say, I agree with you. I think he should go. we're going to have different opinions. But tell me a few things. Are you enjoying watching Arsenal? Do you watch Arsenal on the TV and enjoy it? No, I'm not enjoying it. I support the team. So, yeah, I'll watch it. I'll back them. I want them to win. I'll support them. And after the games, we'll go through it. You know, people saying there, someone just said there, sorry, I missed the comment. He said, you said before you were not going to get on Arteta's back for too much. Yeah, but, you know, I feel like we're back to square one. So, yeah, I will bring it up. You know, I will bring it up. I don't think we as fans should be accepting this. 15 days into January, no signing. No one sold on a permanent. One player out on loan. Poor tactics, rigid football. Players that have failed over and over and over again, being picked. Every week being picked. You know, doesn't change, you know. Willian, Xhaka, Bellerin, all these guys, man, who failed over and over again, still get game time in this club. Worst Arsenal team I've ever watched, ever. I'm sorry, and this ain't reactionary off one game. This is the worst season I've ever seen as an Arsenal fan. People in the comments, tell me different. Some of you guys might be older. Maybe you've seen Arsenal when we were worse. You know, as you say, those few wins fooled a lot of fans into thinking things had changed. Yeah. Things haven't changed. We are where we are. Someone just said there about their system. What are these coaches doing? What are these coaches doing? You know, the guy yesterday had AirPods on. You know, he's upgraded himself from the wired headphones. Now he's got AirPods. You know, he don't want the wires now. What the hell is he listening to? What is he listening to? Please. You know, I thought at the start maybe there's a coach up in the stands and maybe he's talking to him. Because I remember back in the day, you used to see managers pick up the phone and talk to the guy up there. What the hell is this man listening to? Pep Guardiola's greatest tactics or something. Yo, what? Arteta's probably saying, yo, type in Pep. What would Pep do? Do you know what I mean? Come on, man. We're not moving like a big football club, man. You can't call yourself a big football club and move like this. You know? Look at the run of games we've got coming up after Newcastle, man. It's about to get real sticky for Arsenal. Let me tell you, you know, real sticky. We got some tough games coming up, man. Really tough games, you know, on the way. And even in this run of fixtures that we've had now that has been a little bit more easy, we're still not really producing or, you know, doing anything great. It's mad. It's all mad. I don't understand how the fans can just accept what we're being fed at the moment. You know, we're actually mid-table mediocrity at the moment. Nothing at all is happening. Let's have a look at Arsenal's fixtures coming up. Let me just read this. Ian said, even if Arteta does go, will we get a proper manager? Will he get backed? We need to stop attacking the puppet, get the puppet master. I hear you on that. I do hear you on that. But we know that's going to take a lot longer. We can only deal with what's in front of us at the moment, you know. Seb's 29, big up CR. I said it during the winning run. Don't let that cover your eyes. We are poor, have no identity, no playing style, and have become a bottom half team. No transfers either. There you go, bruv. I mean, we have to scroll down to the bottom of the league, right, to find us. You know, we are actually bottom half, mid-table fodder right now, you know. Gumsy said some of our fans don't want us to complain about things like we should be happy because we don't look like getting relegated. It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Yeah, we're staying up, so you know, let's celebrate. Martin said fans happy with a draw against Crystal Palace. Our fan base. I think they've fallen into a trap. I won't completely blame the fans, but you know, it's like we've been brainwashed by these owners. Unfortunately, look at the fixtures coming up. This is on the Sky website. So look, we got Newcastle on Monday at home. I mean, should be 3 points, but you never know with this team. It's then the FA Cup, which will probably be Southampton. So we'll actually, if Southampton beat Shrewsbury, we'll play Southampton on Saturday and then Southampton on Tuesday, away from home twice in the space of 3 days. So that is 2 tough games Can we beat Southampton twice in 3 days away from home? We don't have a good record there, to be honest. But let's see. Let's see. That's tough. That's tough, And then after that, Man United at home. Transfer window will close after that. Who is going to be through the door? But after this game, will we have a Buendia, an Isco, Julian Brandt, a backup goalkeeper? Who are we going to get in? After that, Wolves away, Aston Villa away, Leeds at home, Benfica in the Europa League, and then Man City, horrendous run, and then Benfica again. That is a horrible run of fixtures after that Newcastle game. Southampton twice probably away, Man United at home, Wolves away, Aston Villa away, Leeds at home, Benfica away, Man City at home, Benfica at home. That is a horrible, horrible February. If you think things are bad now, you wait until we get in the middle of February, mate. It ain't going to be no Valentine's Day. It could be a Valentine's Day massacre if we don't fix up. Rumours came out yesterday that George Mendes had spoken to Arsenal about Nuno potentially getting the Arsenal job. So it shows that maybe behind the scenes they were having a look. They were having a look just to see what was happening. Big C in Arteta, right? Oh, my days. Big up Curtis, Leicester fan in here. You're probably loving this. We're all over the place. February looks horrible. Horrendous run of fixtures for Arsenal in February. I saw people talking about Kieran Tierney and how much of an effect him not playing had on us going forward. A left back should not affect you to that point, That's the sad thing about the football club. Evan Angel said he won't survive. I think they're just going to try and stick with him, but that could be a horrendous February. Big up squad, he said, I don't even see Europe for us next season. It's absolutely crazy, man. Omar said, people are joking if they think we will get a result in any of them games bar Newcastle. It's mad. Big up Gio with a super chat. Thank you very much, bro. He said, Curtis, where is the next man-up mentality? You lose Tierney and the team collapse. Milan have had 6 of our main players out, but they keep winning. You got big players, big leaders in the dressing room, man. Zlatan and that, they've built a team around him. And, they're top of the league. Just shows, AC Milan are not as good as Juventus and maybe one or two other teams. But they're doing well. The manager's getting the most out of them. They're moving in the same direction. This is the problem with Arsenal. Need a team of Tierneys. It's embarrassing, isn't it, that a left-back comes in from Celtic, no disrespect, and he is effectively like the guy we're all looking to. Look at his mentality. He's only, 23? He's leading the dressing room in terms of action and how he's acting. Some of these players should be embarrassed, man. They need to do better. Juan said, Arteta out. His love play, Willian, Willock, and Nketiah. I mean, when Eddie came on yesterday, someone in the comments said to me, if Eddie scores the winner, will you get his name on the back of your shirt? I said, yeah, I will do, because I was just desperate for us to win the game. But on the flip side, I didn't expect him to score the winner, and it didn't happen. You look at that and you think, as much as, I say with Balogun, he's a young player and ultimately we don't know if he's the answer or not. At the same time, it would be nice to, it would be nice if he was involved, because I think he could have come on yesterday and add a little bit to the team. He's got that presence, that power that I don't think Eddie has quite got. So again, we're kind of just going around in circles. As Turkish says, man, the roundabout mentality is just holding this club back. We don't seem to be moving forward. But how do we move forward? How do we move forward? I don't think we've got the right manager in charge. Ultimately, I think a better manager would get more out of this squad. I look at Leno, Gabriel, Tierney, Thomas Partey, Saka, Martinelli, Aubameyang, Lacazette. What's that? 7, 8 players, Smith Rowe, that you can work with and get the team playing. Where's the style of football? We have no style. We have no style whatsoever. We have no No end goal, no plan. Let's get into the player ratings quickly for yesterday. And you know what? This is crazy because some people were saying they thought Xhaka was shocking yesterday. Some people were saying they thought he played really well. This is where our fan base is. We can't even agree on a player rating for a player. I thought Granit Xhaka yesterday was a liability. He wins the ball and does something brilliant, and you're like, well done, Granit. And then 5 minutes later, he gives it away and almost costs you a goal. So, if you make a mistake and then make up for it, I don't really praise you for that at the top level of sport. You shouldn't make that big mistake in the first place. Let's get into the player ratings. Bert Leno, chuck your comments in as well. Let me know what ratings you would give each player. We'll start with Leno. I thought Leno had a good game. I think Leno is quietly playing well at the moment. I do think that he's proven himself quietly at the moment, Leno, to be honest. So I will big up Leno. Let me just read this super chat quick. Peter, big up for the super chat. He said, I'm 43 and I agree. This is the worst team I've ever seen. Jeez, and I thought George Graham was bad. Jeez, harsh words. People giving Leno 8. Some saying man of the match, 7 for Leno. I'm trying to think. He made that great save from Benteke when he was at full stretch. It's another clean sheet. I want to be positive for Leno, so I'm going to give him an 8. I don't think he made loads of saves, but I am going to give him an 8 because I feel he's been reliable over the past few weeks, and I feel like I can rely on him. This is what I said last season. When Emi Martinez was in goal, I felt he was more reliable than Leno. I have to admit, Leno over the past few games, at least, maybe the past couple of months, I felt a lot more like I can trust him. So, he was fantastic against Newcastle, that double save. He was good yesterday. I'm giving Leno an 8. When I look at it, he could be man of the match before I even get into the rest of the team. I'm not sure I'm giving anyone else an 8, so I would probably give Leno man of the match. Do you agree? I'm giving Leno an 8. I think he's been fantastic. Let's move into Mr. Plant Trees, Mr. Documentary, Mr. Hector Bellerin. I'm not going to hammer him. I don't think he had a bad game. He played against Eze. I thought he kept Eze quite quiet, to be fair. Zaha drifted over that side. There's a couple of times where Zaha got past him and I thought he's done. And then he kind of recovered. But his delivery in the final third, that ball that got delivered in that I thought Lacazette was going to score and Bellerin takes it off him. And I'm like, bruv, where's your awareness, man? Like, he runs forward and it's like he doesn't know what he's doing when he's high up the pitch. So what do I give Hector Bellerin? He had a steady game defensively. I thought he was poor going forward. I'll give him a 6. I thought he dealt with their attack quite well, if I'm honest. Do I give him a 6? I'm tempted to give him a 5. I'm between a 5 and a 6 with him. I would probably give him a 5 when I think about it. I'll give him a 5. I felt his delivery was really poor. He gets in great positions in the attack and then delivers absolutely nothing. I thought it was poor in that sense. So I will give him a 5. There's a couple of times he was way out of position as well. So for that, I'll give him a 5. Let's go to Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I've called for this guy to come in the team sometimes. Most of you guys were giving Bellerin 5s, by the way. Some of you gave him 6 for the clean sheet. Some saying it's too high to even give him a 5. Some saying 3. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, he was horrendous yesterday. Couldn't cross a ball. Couldn't pat. I remember he played a back pass that went out for a corner. He put a cross in that went out for a goal kick. He was poor yesterday, Ainsley, man. He's not a natural left back, but it was a poor performance. What would you give Ainsley? I'm thinking 3 maybe. He got dragged off as well. When a fullback gets dragged off, there's a big problem. I'm going to give him a 2. I thought he was shocking yesterday, Ainsley. Sometimes just plays like he's in his own world. Just going through the motions for Ainsley. You have to wonder why they didn't cash in on him if they didn't want to play him. I thought he was really bad yesterday. Some of you giving him a 0, 2, 3. I'll give him a 2. I thought he was shocking yesterday. James Justin levels above Ainsley. Yeah, he's probably better than Hector Bellerin at right back at the moment as well. So yeah, Hector Bellerin. I gave Hector Bellerin a 5, and I'm giving Ainsley a 3. Let's get to the two centre backs. I'm probably going to mark them both the same. Although saying that, David Luiz was very slow on the ball at times. I'll give Rob Holding. Do I give Rob? What are we giving Rob Holding, people? I'm thinking 6 or 7. I thought he dealt quite well with Zaha. Although Benteke had that good header. David Luiz got booked a really stupid booking where he just kicked Zaha down. I think Holding was the better one of the two. I'll give Holding a 7 and Luiz a 6. Just because Luiz got booked and he was very slow on the ball at times. Listen, I don't rate either one of them, but I do have to give credit where credit's due. They kept a clean sheet against a lively Zaha, against a Benteke who's got good hold-up play, and Eze. So I'll give Holding a 7 and David Luiz a 6, although I don't particularly rate either one of them. Mostly you're giving Holding a 6. Both 6. Holding misplaced a few passes. David Luiz was slow. 7 for Holding. David Luiz 5. Luiz 6. Some of you 4 for Luiz. Holding 5. Luiz held the ball too much. I agree with that. I think he was way too slow on the ball. Let's go into the midfield. I think this is where we're going to have a lot of debates. Granit Xhaka, for me, yesterday, you saw everything good and everything bad with Granit Xhaka. I'm giving Granit Xhaka a 5 because out of 10, I'm splitting him down the middle. He made mistake after mistake after mistake. He gave the ball away in areas that put us in trouble. He fouled people when he didn't need to, and he was sloppy. The other side of Granit Xhaka, he makes goal line clearances. He played a couple of good little slide balls and played a good couple of longer passes as well. You cannot give Granit Xhaka, in my opinion, more than a 5. You can talk about the goal line clearances, and that's fine. If you make a massive mistake and then make up for it, I'm not going to give you huge praise for that. It's amazing, isn't it? People saying Xhaka was our best player. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think he's a liability on the pitch. You know, he's too rash. He always wants to win the ball. He gives free kicks away for no reason. You know, middle of the field for me, 5 I'm giving him. Some of you giving him less. Xhaka, he slows down the game too much. Partey should have started over him. That was a shout. Gunman Khan, Xhaka deserves a 6 or 5. I'm giving him a 5, man. I think he was a liability yesterday. Made some great clearances, but he puts us in trouble too often. Good midfielders, they don't do that. They don't put their team in difficult situations. Granit Xhaka is a 5 for me. You said Xhaka 3, too emotional. I do agree. He is way too emotional. Let's look at this. The pros of his games are cancelled out by the cons. You're spot on, Gunman Khan. You know, all the good he does. Brilliant, brilliant. And then he does that rubbish at the end of it. You know, he literally, there's an account on Twitter. I'll try and get it up. And there was about 6 clips where he made mistakes, you know, gives the ball away to Zaha, fouls Zaha, you know, misplaced passes. And it's crazy, absolutely crazy. You know, makes way too many mistakes to ever be considered a top-level midfielder. You know, you can't rely on him. The best midfielders can be relied upon. You can never rely on Granit Xhaka. You know, you cannot rely on him. Gives the ball away too much when he's not even under pressure. So Xhaka 5. Let's go to Dani Ceballos. I thought first half he was the best player on the pitch for Arsenal. And the thing is, stats are very... It's crazy. Stats are very... They can trick your mind at times because someone brought a stat up of Granit Xhaka where it was saying, you know, he completed the most passes. He won the ball back the most times. And, you know, but then when you watch the game, you go, I don't care about them stats. I watched the game and the guy was a complete liability, you know. So you get sometimes stats are very misleading. Someone said that was it. Brother said my favorite point was when you shouted out "No Xhaka." "No Xhaka, no" is my favorite quote from yesterday's stream. I timestamped it in the comments. Big up, bro. I'll go and pin that. Bro, I was fuming with the stuff he was doing. I thought Ceballos first half was fantastic. Second half, he seemed a little tired. didn't get on the ball as much. What would you give Danny Ceballos? People saying 6, 7. I thought he should have stayed on longer. Maybe he was tired. I think first half he was brilliant. I would have given him an 8 for the first half. Maybe you can't give him more than a 6 for the second half. He wasn't in the game. I would probably give him a 6 or 7. He faded second half, but in the first half he was brilliant. Do you know what? I'll give him a 7. I'll be positive. Some of his passes, people should have done more with them. He played a ball over the top to Aubameyang. He gets it. He doesn't do anything when he gets it. Got to be more ambitious when you get the ball. You're right. Love Ceballos, but he fades really quick. I don't know. Is it a fitness issue? Not enough football? I'm going to be kind to him and give him a 7 because he played passes in the first half that I don't see other players play in the Arsenal squad. So I'll be positive for him for that reason. Let's go to the front 4, if you like. Let's start with that man, Aubameyang. Oh, man, I have to admit, I saw things in Aubameyang's body language yesterday that really worried me. I've really tried, and I'm still going to defend Aubameyang because he's got a lot of credit in the bank. But if you're talking about that performance, I thought Aubameyang was shocking yesterday. He went on that run where he knocked it past Joel Ward, and I thought, here we go. From when you're that much quicker than the fullback, I expect you to run at him time after time after time. Every time there's space behind him, knock it and run him. Knock it and run him. Aubameyang kept cutting back, cutting inside, passing. Run at the man. We're not paying you 375 grand a week to just pass it 10 yards to Xhaka. Run at him. No ambition in his game, and the body language towards the end of that game was terrible. Standing around, picking up the ball and just passing it, arms throwing up in the air, no encouragement to the other players, doesn't look like a captain, and I'm giving Aubameyang a 2. I think he let the team down yesterday. Even if things aren't going well, we need that body language. We need that positivity. Be ambitious. Try and make things happen. And we can accept a bad game. But when you're just going through the motions and looking like you're feeling sorry for yourself, we haven't got time for that, bro. You let us down. You were poor yesterday. Aubameyang, I'll give Aubameyang a... What did I give? So I'm giving Aubameyang a 2. I'll give Aubameyang a 3 because I gave Maitland-Niles a 2, I believe. Or did I give Maitland-Niles a 3? I'll give him a 3. He went on a couple runs in the first half, but listen, he was shocking. And because the expectations are so high for him, we expect more. So, he says here, Aubameyang is done. He's caught Ozalitis. I think all that money's weighing down his pockets, bro. He doesn't look happy. He doesn't. And again, this is where I question the manager. But hey, this is where we are. Oh, well, listen, I agree. I'm not just blaming Arteta for yesterday. I'm looking at the whole season and the way things have developed. Yesterday was just the icing on the cake, for such a terrible season. Let's have a look. Joel says, big up Curtis, got my final ever A-level ICT exam this evening. So peak. Oh, dear. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. 3 is too much. He's not moving like a captain right now. Let's look at the other 2. Emil Smith-Rowe, he had a quiet game. It didn't happen for him. He worked hard. He wasn't able to influence the game. Crystal Palace were cutting off the supply and cutting off the areas for the number 10 to get in the pockets and make things happen. I thought Smith-Rowe was lucky to finish the game yesterday. I would give Smith-Rowe, I'm thinking 4 or 5. I would probably lean towards 4. I don't think it was his fault as such. I just think he struggled to get into the game. I'm going to give him a 4. I'm going to give him a 4. He didn't influence the game at all. And as you're saying here, we can't rely on a 21-year-old who's just got into the first team to consistently perform. This is where you need to be saying, right, Smith-Rowe, it's not working today. You come off. Here's my next option that can, or we add somebody to him. And we just didn't have it yesterday. It really wasn't there. So I'll give Smith-Rowe a 4. We ain't calling him De Bruyne yesterday, that's for certain. Bukayo Saka, didn't really happen for him either. again, he tried to make things happen. They doubled up on him most of the game. I saw so many times where Saka got the ball and they got two players on him. They obviously knew that he was a danger. They knew he was a problem. He put some good crosses in from set pieces. I'll give him that. I think Saka was better than Smith Rowe, but I'm only going to give him a 5 as well. I don't think he had his best of games. It's not necessarily a fault of his own, but just looking at it, yeah, I'd give Saka a 5. What do you guys think? Some of you giving him 4. Saka 6, played out of position, floated some good balls 4. I'm giving him a 5. As soon as he had the ball, 2 or 3 players crowded him out. So that is Bukayo Saka. Lacazette didn't do anything, wasn't in the game. And this is the problem with Lacazette. With no service, he is lacking, shall we say, he was back to lack of threat. And that's where we are. That is where we are with Lacazette. You provide service, get runners around him, he'll score goals. If you don't, he looks very, very limited in what he can do. And I think we saw that yesterday with Lacazette. I believe, I'm just checking a stat. Someone said to me here that Rob Holding had the most shots for Arsenal yesterday. If that's true, it's crazy. Well, whether that's true or not, I'll check that out after. Lacazette wasn't in the game. Yeah, he hardly touched the ball. Got dragged off for Eddie Nketiah, and he was back to lack of threat. Is it his fault or not? What would I give Lacazette? It's very difficult. What ratings are you giving him? Give me ratings, people. I'm thinking 4, 3. I don't know. He tried hard. He worked hard. He wasn't in the game. 4. I'll give him a 4. Back to lack of threat business. But anyway, he was isolated, and he's not one of them players who's just gonna dominate the game by himself. And look, it's unfortunate. You look at the subs who came on. Thomas Partey came on. I'll give him a 6. I thought he was steady when he came on. Eddie Nketiah came on, hardly touched the ball. And, Nicolas Pepe came on and gave his usual rubbish. I would give Eddie Nketiah probably a 3, a 4. I give him a 3. He came on for... No, I give him I give him a 3. He didn't do anything. Nicolas Pepe is becoming a big problem for Arsenal Football Club. How do we get more out of this player? How do we get more out of him? He's literally... Do we have to cut our losses with Nicolas Pepe now? What would you do? Would you sell Nicolas Pepe in the summer? Try and get maybe 30 million and cut your losses? Or would you play him and try and get him to play his way into some sort of form? Where are you at with Pepe? For me, it's looking like, we've got a real problem on our hands. Who would actually sign Pepe in the summer? 120 grand a week. I don't know. I think we have a problem on our hands. As you said, West Ham paid 40 for Haller, had a bad year and a half, and they got rid of him, got 25 million back. But we paid 72. Someone said earlier, and I think this is the best tweet, someone said, maybe we paid 72 million from Gabriel from Lille, and we paid the 25 million for Pepe. So if we swap the deals around, it doesn't look too bad, even though 72 million is still probably too much for Gabriel. At least you would feel like you've got some sort of value out of that deal. Man said Pepe is an expensive Iwobi. Pepe ain't got that mentality. He just doesn't. I don't see a winner. I don't see a winner on the pitch. And I don't see a guy at the moment that wants to, play his way into form. But he just doesn't do enough to the fullbacks, doesn't run at them enough. And listen, we'll have to see what happens. But moving forward, it's not looking great. Listen, people, as I said, overall, just to round up, this was not a reactionary opinion to say Arteta out. I think this season's been the worst season in history for me as an Arsenal fan. I have not seen Arsenal this bad. We're 11th in the table. We're struggling to beat teams that are bang average. When teams put players behind the ball, we don't have the answers. We have no style of play. We're not enjoyable to watch. We don't look like we are enjoying playing for this manager. I see players that look miserable, that look like they're being overcoached, that look like they've got too many instructions, that look like they're not being led the right way. They don't look like they believe in this manager. It can't be coincidence that Aubameyang, Pepe, Willian, all these attacking players are struggling so much under this manager. And what I will say, I want the fans to keep their standards. I don't expect us to win the league. We have to be realistic. What we want and where we are, the balance is somewhere in the middle, you know? And I get that. Don't expect us to win the title. But I would expect this Arsenal team to be challenging for top four. Challenging, you know? That's what I want to see. We should be up there. You look at West Ham, Southampton, Aston Villa, above us in the league. They are not better than us in terms of players. They're not. But they've got a setup, they've got a system, they've got a manager that they're playing for, all three of them. And that's why they're outdoing us. We've got a manager that's never managed, that is struggling to deal with the amount of situations that are being offered to him at the same time. And I think he's out of his depth, Mikel Arteta. You know, I'm not doing this off a reactionary draw to Crystal Palace. This has been the worst season so far in the history of Arsenal. For me, at the age I'm at, and for a lot of you, I'm sure it's the worst. Things have to improve. We know the owner is a massive part of the problem. We know about, you know, the ownership needing to improve, and we need new owners. We need ambitious owners. But for now, we need a competent manager that can lead this club in the right way. He's not getting the best out of the tools on the pitch. The players don't look happy. The 3 or 4 wins that we got, to me, were covering over the cracks. And, you know, I see a long, hard season. We spoke earlier about the fixtures in January and February, and it's going to get a lot harder after this Newcastle game. You know, Southampton twice, Man United, Man City, Benfica twice, Wolves and Leicester away from home. Tough games coming up. And it could be a long, hard season. People, thank you very much for tuning in. I will be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Try and get a guest on tomorrow. Let's mix it up a little bit. And listen, man, Arsenal, don't let them affect you emotionally, man. I told you they can ruin your day. We've got enough to deal with right now in lockdown. So listen, we move on. Keep your heads up, people. Keep smiling and stay blessed. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Arsenal, you stress us out, man. If only we could have these 2 players back, everything would be all right. Take care, people. Look after yourselves. I'll be back tomorrow. Bless.